I'm going to talk about an international initiative that has the potential to revolutionise logistics as we know it, but hardly anybody's heard of it. It's really fascinating. When I mention the physical internet to people, they say, oh yeah, I know about that, Internet of Things. No, the physical internet is not the Internet of Things, it's actually, Internet of Things is just a part of it. Can I just, has anybody heard of the physical internet in the term? No, okay, interesting. This physical internet is being promoted in the USA, in China, in Europe, and it's envisaged to be operational by 2050. So it's very much a roadmap to 2050, 35 years from now. Now, if you think that's a long way ahead, it is, but if you think back 35 years to 1980, I was a distribution consultant at that time because logistics and supply chain hadn't been invented. There was no internet, no e-commerce, smartphones, what were they? Can you imagine how things have changed in the 35 years? Could anybody have envisaged in 1980 what 2015 would look like? And there's no way that they would look at all the omni-channel retailing, all the huge changes in logistics in 35 years. So we are now looking 35 years ahead to 2050. So if what I'm going to say sounds rather far-fetched, pie in the sky, think what it might have been like in 1980 looking 35 years ahead. So obviously before I start, I've got to sell myself, haven't I? I'm from the Centre for Sustainable Road Freight. Now this is a joint venture between Cambridge University and Heriot-Watt University. It's a 5-year programme. It's £6 million, of which 4.8 million is from the EPSRC, it's a research organisation, and the other 1.2 million is coming from our Industrial Advisory Board, and you can see some of the members here. Cambridge is very much on the hardware side, the engineering, the vehicle dynamics, so of course we've got Millbrook, which is the testing centre, Goodyear, Volvo, Haldex, Chevron, oil people and so on. And Heriot-Watt, we've got the Tesco's, the Coca-Colas, the FMCG type companies, DHL, Wincanton and so on. And then we've got the people like Optrack, Vehicle Routing and Scheduling, the RHA and the FTA are members. And the whole point is we've got about 14 different projects on the go. Many of them in the aerodynamics and vehicle engineering type side, the brakes, the driving methods, and Heriot-Watt we're looking at the softer side, the economics, the carbon, the actual logistics systems. So that's a brief explanation of where I'm coming from. I'm involved in a number of projects. Logistics today, companies individually are doing really well. They're efficient, their network is good, and companies are being as efficient as they possibly can within the constraints of their own operation. Because although we talked about collaboration this morning, the collaboration that's going on is very limited. That UB Nestle example I gave you is a fraction of the total supply chain network. So although it's held up as a collaboration, it's not really a major connection between two companies. But in the future, if we're going to be sustainable, and there is a global logistics sustainability challenge going forward, then we have to do something drastic. And the future is collaboration as part of it. And the reason is that 76%, this is in Europe, of all freight movement is by road. But road, the load factors, 57% loaded by weight on average, a quarter of all vehicles are running around empty. The overall efficiency is 44%. So 76% of all goods move by road and it's 44% efficient. The actual cost of that is 160 billion euros. If we can improve that load factor and the empty running, we could get towards a saving of 160 billion euros. We could save Greece with that money, couldn't we? It's very bad for the environment, and it's certainly bad for profitability as well. In Europe, the European Union have this vision, this future vision of reducing the dependence on oil, getting to a 60% reduction in carbon emissions, transport emissions by 2050. Now in this country we're going for 80%, but in Europe its transport is 60%. Getting goods off the road onto other modes of transport, that's their aim, and developing this TEN-T, this trans-European network, this European corridor network, which they're putting £80 billion into over a number of years. And then in major urban centres, they want CO2-free movement of goods. That's their target. And the problem is inefficiency and unsustainability within the freight network. I've come up with, there's these 13. This is from a paper by Benoit Montrieux, who developed the concept of the physical internet. Towards a physical internet, meeting the global logistics sustainability challenge. The paper's on the internet if you want to see it. But we're shipping air and packaging, because the vehicles are not full. Empty travel is the norm. This is very American, sorry. This came from, as I say, Benoit. Truckers have become the modern cowboys. What that means is that for long-haul movements, drivers are spending nights away from home. It's bad for family life, social life, personal health. Products are idle. The time that it takes for products to get to different places is too long. Many products are not even used. They're going to obsolescence. They're not in the right place, so they're crisscrossing the world. And as for multimodal, which is what the European Union want, it is a pipe dream at the moment because the infrastructure isn't there. So getting products in and out of city centres, city logistics is a nightmare. You've got restrictions on how you where you can go, how you can deliver, what roads you can use, nighttime lorry bans, low emission zones, congestion charges, and even parking tickets are the norm these days. They build it into their costs. So getting products in and out of cities is a nightmare. Logistics network supply chains are neither secure, smart automation technology hard to justify, and innovation, I mean really the margins for logistics, particularly 3PLs, are so small, it doesn't exactly encourage innovation. So all in all, there's 13 reasons why freight transport is inefficient and not sustainable. There was a paper written by Capgemini and the Global Commerce Initiative. I think it was 2010 or thereabouts, 2008. But they had this vision of collaborative supply chains, moving from this sort of arrangement to a very neat collaborative network. And that was envisaged for 2016, and that's a real optimistic time. I mean, it's not going to happen, of course, but nevertheless, it was there, and that Global Commerce Initiative consisted of these 24 major FMCG companies. So all the FMCG companies want to collaborate, but they're not really moving forward very fast. So the physical internet, what it is an open global logistics network. In fact, I'm going to just read to you. There's a manifesto. And the manifesto, the Physical Internet Manifesto, says physical internet is an open global logistics system founded on physical, digital, and operational interconnectivity through the encapsulation of goods, interfaces and protocols design, with the aim of moving, storing and using physical objects throughout the world in a manner that is sustainable. So that's the definition, and the idea is that there would be this open market, an eBay-style auction for goods, working with modular containers. We've got modular containers now. It's called a 40-foot modular container or a 20-foot modular container. But why 40 or 20? Why not 10, 5, 2 foot, 1 foot, 6 inch? Why those limits? I'll come back to that later. Open and shared network, vast community of users, and importantly, certification, making sure the movements are safe, secure, and easy to use. In the USA, Gary Forger, he runs the Materials Handling Institute. We have a range of companies all being part of this physical internet initiative. And you can see some very big names there. So they're all in favour or promoting this idea of the physical internet.